Do you work for an employer but also work for yourself? Many people work full or part-time for an employer but also earn another income outside that job by taking on freelance work or running a small business. This income is often called a second income. When you're in this situation, HM Revenue and Customs, or HMRC, calls this being employed and self-employed. You can be both employed and self-employed at the same time. Take John, for example. John is employed as a technician by an engineering company full-time from Monday to Friday. The company gives him a work schedule each week, telling him what appointments he has and where he has to travel. John's tax and national insurance contributions are deducted from his monthly salary by his employer through pay-as-you-earn or PAYE. The company sends him a pay statement each month showing his pay and how much has been deducted. On Saturdays, John takes on odd jobs, such as small home improvements for other people. He advertises in a local paper and by word of mouth. John offers free quotes before taking on any work, and he can choose which jobs he takes on and who his customers will be. On a couple of occasions, when he took on too much work, John worked evenings and hired a friend for a day or so to help him get the jobs finished on time. So John has more than one job. He works for the engineering company as a technician, but he also works for himself doing odd jobs. So he's both employed and self-employed. As John is working for himself, he's responsible for paying the tax and national insurance contributions on the additional income he receives from this work. John should register as self-employed with HMRC. If John hasn't told HMRC about income from previous years, then he can use the Second Income's voluntary disclosure opportunity to put his tax affairs in order from now on. Mina is employed as a qualified project manager. She's worked part-time for her employer for over 10 years. Mina has an employment contract with the organisation which sets out the number of hours she has to work each month. Mina's tax and national insurance contributions are deducted by her employer through PAYE. The organisation sends her pay statements showing her pay and deductions. Mina has built up a network of contacts in the project management profession, and she's often asked to speak at conferences held by other organisations. She charges conference organisers a fixed speaker's fee, and they make payment directly to her bank account. Although her employer knows about her work as a speaker, it has no involvement or say in what events she takes on. So, like John, Mina has more than one job. She's employed by the organisation as a project manager, but she also works for herself as a conference speaker. So she's both employed and self-employed. As Mina is working for herself, she's responsible for paying the tax and national insurance contributions on the additional income she receives from this work. Mina should register as self-employed with HMRC. If Mina hasn't told HMRC about income from previous years, then she can use the Second Income's voluntary disclosure opportunity to put her tax affairs in order from now on. Susie has 3 part-time jobs with different companies, all in the retail sector. She stacks shelves and works as a checkout operator in 2 of the jobs and as a clerical assistant in the 3rd. She has to work a minimum of 10 hours a week in each job, but she often takes on extra hours if she can. Susie's paid monthly for the clerical work and weekly for her other jobs. All of her employers provide her with payslips, which show how much she's earned and how much they've deducted in tax and national insurance contributions through PAYE. When Susie started work as a clerical assistant, the personnel section of the company asked her if she had any other jobs. They explained that they had to ask this to make sure that her tax deductions were correct. Susie is not self-employed. She has more than one income, but she's employed by other businesses in all 3 of her jobs. Her employers are responsible for deducting any tax and national insurance contributions through PAYE. If you aren't sure whether your second income means you're also self-employed, ask yourself these simple questions. Can you hire someone to do your work for you? Can you take on helpers at your own expense? Do you risk your own money? Can you make a loss as well as a profit from your work? Do you provide the main items of equipment that you need to do your job, not just the small tools that employees often provide for themselves? Do you agree to do a job for a fixed price, regardless of how long the job may take? Do you decide what work to do, how and when to do the work, and where to provide the services? Do you regularly work for a number of different people and require a business setup in order to do so? Do you have to correct any unsatisfactory work in your own time and at your own expense? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then you're more likely to also be self-employed. When you are both employed and self-employed, your tax and national insurance contributions are worked out and paid in different ways. When you're employed, then normally your employer will deduct tax and national insurance contributions from your pay through PAYE. But if you're also self-employed, then it's up to you to tell HMRC about your additional income and pay any extra tax and national insurance contributions due. You do this using a system HMRC calls self-assessment. Some people worry that they'll find self-assessment difficult, but there's plenty of help and support available on the gov.uk website. There are also videos on the HMRC YouTube channel where you can listen to other people's experiences with self-assessment. If you think that you're also self-employed but haven't declared this income to HMRC, you can use the Second Income's voluntary disclosure opportunity to tell HMRC now and put your tax affairs in order. Just phone 0300 123 0945. Need more help? Then you can seek advice from an accountant or tax advisor, find more guidance on the gov.uk website, or phone one of HMRC's helplines. If you're still unsure whether you're also self-employed, then call 03000 527 450. For help with tax credits, call 0345 300 3900. And for more details of the Second Income's voluntary disclosure opportunity, call 0300 123 0945.